All right, guys. So I was planning on going to sleep, finalizing the night. It's about 1 o'clock right now. Even though I woke up a bit late today and I napped, I actually did a lot more than I have been over the past couple of months. Again, I started coding today. But today, I just like the last video I discussed about the things I'm trying to master, and I discussed mastery. And let's face it, man, it's the competencies that you need in order to kind of achieve some form of mastery. It's the competencies that you need. There's an attitude behind it. And just like a few things from the day, kind of like you know when your mind is kind of like doing something, going tick, 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 this, and throwing things in front of your face. I have to tell you the truth. Uh, the honest truth is there's a completely different feeling of being of knowing what you want to do and not knowing what you want to do. And normally, what I do when I don't know what I want to do, is I just kind of what I used to do was basically just browse, sit with people, stick around with friends. And then I realized when I started kind of giving up on reels, giving up on all kinds of stuff, giving up on just like binge watching YouTube as well. Like you have enough energy to do stuff, and then just look at my surroundings to engage with them. I saw myself kind of relentlessly jumping on every single thing that's around me, and kind of re-triggered my ADHD. And so what started happening was I started jumping on every single opportunity I have, just because it's interesting. Everything around me became just super fucking interesting. It's like my mind was kind of like I don't know. It's a dry sponge that's been squeezed way too much. The minute you put it in water, it kind of fluffs up and just absorbs as much as it could, and eventually kind of drips left and right and doesn't is no longer coherent. Uh, when I first started having conversations about these things, I remember just the thoughts in my head about the things that I'm learning. I was talking to friends that were not able to understand anything I'm saying, and to them, I felt like a completely different person. And a few of them actually pointed it out. Well, a few of them. I only have had five friends. Right now, I still talk to them, and they're amazing. But I don't really get to catch up with them the way I would want. But what happened was, over the past years, I started over the past year and a half, 2 years, I was I knew if I were to work, I need to work towards something, and I need to be able to have something in my hands in order to be able to actively use as I'm actually pursuing what I want to pursue. And just, a couple of days ago, I was discussing negotiating from the future instead of bringing something from the future instead of pushing from the past. And the thought behind this is more, what tools would I need in order for me to succeed? And for me personally, what tools will I be able to carry with me anywhere I go? And that's basically the skill sets that you build. And you can't just have them. You kind of have to know them. You kind of have to trust them. And I explained in the previous video the warrior like approach. Because technically you're training, but when you're working with business, it's not really it is training, but it's engaging. You train when you're training for exercising, it's the simplest form. It's okay, do push-ups, do pull-ups, jump, do plyometrics or something like this. Do these exercises, and eventually kind of achieve what you want to achieve. It's a physical endeavor, but when it comes to business, you really have to be very creative about how you're applying whatever you're trying to learn. But that doesn't stop there, because whatever you're trying to learn has to kind of contribute to what you want to reach. So that alone has its own train of thought. And a couple of days ago, when I was having a conversation with my father, or a week ago, and remember, we record our conversations. I make him record it. Well, I started recording mine, and then he started getting excited to record as well, so he can listen to them later on. But what happened is I was trying to explain to him the difference between how the eye observes and sees things and how the mind actually observes. And I was trying to explain the difference between when your mind is kind of like absorbing everything around you versus when your mind is kind of like walking a certain path. And the thing is, and I literally used like a point of direction. Like if I want to travel from here, for example, to like Europe, whatever, man, let's just say from New York to New Jersey, or like from like somewhere in London to somewhere else in London, or like everyone pick a country and like imagine an actual road, physical road. The more you go on that road, the less you're actually focused on driving, right? Because like you don't look left and right anymore. You know exactly when to stop, when to pause, one, two, three, four times. And for the mind, in order for the mind's eye to be able to see the path that you're on, you practically have to kind of like rinse and repeat every single day what you're actually actively doing in order for the mind to kind of like deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and start creating all these patterns in their heads in order for them in order for it to be able to kind of like to, in order for that to kind of become solidified. So there's a beautiful programmer that says stick. Like you kind of have to like, even though you read about what you want to do, you learn about what you want to do, you understand what you want to do. When it comes to the coding, if you're not actually coding it, it doesn't really stick. And it's not like you code it; you have to code every single day. You kind of have to set into that mood every single day. And it's the same. Like if you're going your direction from your house to work, man, every single day you drive to work. And then you find yourself on certain days you're taking different routes because you're familiar with the traffic on these days. And some days and sometimes you're taking different routes and sometimes you're making different stops. You create that pattern. But ultimately, for you to become more efficient and effective, like every single day, you're actually adding to the skill sets or to the pattern using your skills, and you have to choose your skills wisely. Choosing a business and operating a business, especially thinking about it from a startup's perspective, you have to every single day, you have to build on top of these skills, hoping one day you will use them. That's basically it. Because every single one of the skills that I actually mentioned last video, or like the ones that I'm working on every single day, including like randomly Japanese and like French and just like writing differently and all that kind of stuff, every single one of them is a skill that I personally want to have and I want to see myself using when the time comes. Now, there's a specific time allotted for like the programming and the coding of the website, and there's a specific time allotted to the actual engagement with the business behind the website, and there's like a specific time in just writing down what are the things that I actually consider and think about when it comes to the overall concept, because there's the business has to exist for us to reach the concept. I need to be able to program because I don't know anyone. Nobody wants to do this stuff for free. Nobody wants to spend all day doing these things. Uh, but the reason I was saying this is because like the minute you start focusing, or at the very least, the minute you start allocating time for these skills, and then these times are basically within your mind. Your mind kind of like steps on them every single day. It comes back to them every single day and moves through them every single day. What effectively happens is you kind of like open your mind's eye to this pattern and allow your mind to kind of like rewire the sense of direction and rewire the path that needs to be taken towards every one of these skills. And at a much like deeper level, kind of allow you to become very comfortable and utilizing when the time comes. Or at the very least, building around them, like actually constructing the newer path, the different paths, the directions, because like as you evolve, you're going to see new things and these new things have to go somewhere. But if you actually have a set of stuff that you know how to do, what effectively you're doing is you're building around them, you're building around their existence and finding ways to use them because they're there in order to create the support system you need, or at the very least, point at new skills. Or I don't know, it's as simple as if you're good with a hammer, then at the very least, this movement as well is part of a skill. So maybe one day you'll have to like do something else, like maybe fix some form of, I don't know, like you need this kind of movement to build on top of a skill. So nothing kind of goes to waste, but as well, like you literally are moving forward with everything that you create. So the more skills you kind of like harness and put in your arsenal, and the more you kind of like pick them with a purpose, the closer your goal is, and you kind of like you comfortably create your path, and then eventually you don't really care how you're gonna get to where you want to get. You know full well that you're just gonna be reach there. It's no longer about like which road I'm taking to get there. You know full well that the way you drive and the way you handle your car and the way you think and the way you process will get you there. And it kind of like adds to the whole flavor of like who you are, the kind of person that actually holds that kind of thing in their arm and their hands and like brings that kind of reality back to you. That's also something I want to discuss because I think over the past couple of like days of or the past couple of videos, I think I've been like discussing more realities and engagements, and like I haven't actually been engaging with the true constant throughout your life and the true constant that's always there regardless of how you have changed. And I really want to discuss that from an anime's perspective. So let's do this in the next video.